Why Vince McMahon is killing wrestling. Now, many of you might already say he's killed it already. Well, not quite, but he is killing it. And here's why. So, WWE has this quest, it seems, to pluck out all the greatest stars from other organizations. WWE is constantly getting guys from ROH. They're getting guys from TNA now. That's the current thing they're doing. They're getting guys from even Japan right now with Shinsuke Nakamura. They're getting guys from, I guess you could say, getting guys from PWG. They're getting guys from, well, they're right now they're trying to get Johnny Johnny Mundo, otherwise known as John Morrison, otherwise known as Johnny Nitro, whatever you want to call him. They're trying to get him now. They're trying to get every indie star. And the problem with this is that when the indie stars come to WWE, they all lose to Roman Reigns or John Cena. And the mid-carders that come will lose to The Miz, they'll lose to Ryback, and they'll lose to any other WWE made star. And that is why Vince is killing wrestling, because every person that Vince makes, I would say 9 out of 10 of them suck and nobody likes them. And then they're getting dominated by this guy. They don't even stand a chance most of the time. Like you look at right now with the Bullet Club, they're all losing to Roman pretty much. Roman and the Usos, two WWE made guys, are losing to Roman and the Usos. And then in the past 11 years, every guy that comes up loses to Cena. You got the Wyatts, you got the Wyatts, you got almost every guy from NXT. Look at Seth Rollins. Even when he's the champion, he's losing to a WWE made guy. And why is this problematic? Why not just keep all these guys in WWE? The problem is that WWE can only sustain a certain amount of wrestlers. That is why you have Black Friday, where you will eliminate or let go many talents. Talents like Damian Sandow, Alex Riley. You might debate if you like either of those two. Guys like Hornswoggle, again, he's not a big star, but still, you have last time there was Drew McIntyre, right? All these guys who have some talent. Maybe they were somebody on the indies. They come to WWE, they're destroyed, they're trashed, they're buried, then they're cast aside, and then they go back to the indies, and they're not taken as seriously anymore. Yeah, they might make more money because they were on WWE at a time, but really, look at Drew McIntyre, or Drew Galloway right now, as he is in TNA. Do you take him seriously anymore? The guy used to be in 3MB. The guy lost to a midget bull. The guy lost to, like, pretty much anybody. The guy lost to Santino Marella. The guy lost to people who are jokes, who should not be beating these guys. I mean, the guy is 6 foot something. He's huge. He's like 250 pounds. Why is this guy losing to a little person? So I'll say little person. Why is this guy losing to a little person, El Torito? Right? It's a joke. These guys become a joke in WWE. And then when they go back to the circuit, do you really take them as seriously anymore? A big one that comes to mind is Kevin Steen. The guy used to be the king of indies. He was he was the Stone Cold Steve Austin of the indies. He wasn't as good as Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course, but he was that type of character for the indies. And now what is he? He's losing all the time. He's losing to nobodies, but he's losing to WWE made guys. And WWE made guys pretty much they beat everybody. Look at Sting. Sting did not stand a chance against WWE guys. The guy has lost to Seth Rollins, who's been made a bitch on TV day after day, losing to Cena, losing to Roman, losing to Triple H. Well, he didn't lose to Triple H, but he probably would have. He loses to everybody. And he runs away from guys. He runs away from Neville. We all remember that. He runs away from Stephanie McMahon. He runs away from Orton. And he has beaten Sting, this legend for years and years, the Ric Flair of WCW, you could say, or the Hulk Hogan of WCW, whatever you want to say. I guess Hulk Hogan was the Hulk Hogan of WCW. But, Ric Flair was a huge part of WCW, and Sting was right there with him. But yet Sting comes in, His first WrestleMania, he loses to Triple H, a guy who has lost, again, this guy has lost to many guys. This guy lost to Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. This guy lost to John Cena at WrestleMania 22. This guy lost to Undertaker twice. That, by default, means that Sting is below all of these guys. I know he's old, but why is he losing in his debut WrestleMania? Just like with the past WrestleMania with AJ Styles. It just proves that Vince McMahon thinks that his talent is the best in the world. Everybody else is small time. And that is what he has made it. That is the reality now. AJ Styles, right before he went to WWE, he was fighting in New Japan. He was putting on these amazing matches. He was putting on Match of the Year matches. He had the great series with Okada. He was putting on these perfect matches. And then he comes to WWE and he is now losing. He gets dumped out of the Royal Rumble like a bitch. And JBL is like, welcome to WWE. And he gets destroyed by Roman Reigns, put through a table. He loses to Jericho twice, which was basically the rubber match that he lost. And Jericho is not in his prime. Jericho is beyond his prime. So prime AJ, because I guess you could say AJ is in his prime in terms of match quality. You could argue he was better when he was in the X Division in TNA. But I think AJ is in his wrestling prime, just like Shawn Michaels in his later years was in his wrestling prime. And yet he is losing to past prime Jericho. Jericho is a guy who lost to Fandango at WrestleMania. Why would you have Jericho lose to Fandango, or you could say, why would you have Jericho put over a guy like Fandango, but he doesn't put over, one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, AJ Styles? Because in Vince's eyes, nobody is as good as WWE. And this trend is going to continue to happen. You're going to see, like they're saying, these new generation wrestlers, this is a new era. You're going to see all of these new era wrestlers lose to Roman Reigns. I guarantee it. I'm saying it right now. You will see it happen. When Kevin Steen came to NXT, I knew when he came up, he was going to lose to Cena. And what happened? He lost to Cena several times. Cena just throws him around. Yeah, they might have a good match, but that good match is only to show off Cena's ability, or to mask his lack of ability, you could say, because Cena is not a good wrestler. And just look what happens to these guys when they come to WWE. I remember everybody was buzzing when Kevin Steen came to WWE because he beat Cena in his first match. When he first debuted, he powerbombed Cena and stomped on his U.S. title. And now look at him. He is on par with The Miz. He is a match for anybody who's WWE made who sucks, pretty much. He is not where he should be. Kevin Steen should be a main eventer. Why isn't he? Because Vince McMahon does not want anybody to outshine his wrestlers. Even if you work for Vince McMahon, if you were on TV before you came to WWE, you're not his wrestler. To him, you're just something to put over your wrestlers. The Indies wrestlers, the Indies stars, all come to WWE to put over WWE guys. And that's the truth. And I want to talk a little bit more about this right now. And I'm going to refer to NXT. The show is great. I love watching NXT. It's the only WWE product that I watch. The problem with NXT is that it doesn't last. It's only temporary. As I said in past videos, it's a hallway to get to the main attraction, which is WWE programming. Raw, SmackDown, Superstars, Main Event. NXT is just the hallway that they walk through. And while you might see a guy become huge in NXT, you talk about guys like Big E Langston, you talk about guys like Bo Dallas, you talk about The Ascension. These guys were big in NXT. They were over. And they go to WWE and they become jokes. Now look at Bo Dallas. Look where Bo Dallas is now. He lost his first match to R-Truth. He had a streak going, and then they just said, screw this. And then he loses to R-Truth. You have The Ascension. I think they won 2 or 3 matches in WWE, and then they became an absolute joke. They even had a retired JBL come in the ring and just bitch them out. He just destroys them. All of these guys who are coming up from NXT are becoming losers. Yeah, you could say Roman Reigns, he was the success story. You could say Seth Rollins is the success story, right? Pretty much the Shield is the only success story to come out of NXT. NXT has had champions, yeah, but when you really think about it, is Dean Ambrose a success story? The guy, he can talk, he's tall, he's got somewhat of a look to him, like a crazy guy look, but he too is he taken seriously in WWE? He loses all the time. He had a big stint where he was constantly losing to Luke Harper and he was losing to Bray Wyatt. The guy is not he's not where he should be either. Then you have Seth Rollins, who should be a babyface, but they know he'll get over if he is a babyface. So they leave him a heel, a chicken shit heel, where he's always running away from people. He's always losing. If he wins, he has to cheat. He never wins clean, except like when somebody gets injured, like Sting beat him clean, or he beat Sting clean only because Sting got injured. Who knows what would have happened, right? And then you have Roman Reigns. I wouldn't consider Roman Reigns an NXT guy because Roman Reigns was related to The Rock. Is related to The Rock. He would have gotten over even if he didn't go to NXT because Vince loves his hair and he loves his body, right? That is why Roman Reigns gets over. It's not because of NXT. And he didn't get over it either. Most people don't like Roman Reigns. That's why there's this constant hatred for him. And they boo at him and stuff because they know what's going to happen with him. They know he's going to become the next Cena, and nobody wants to see that. But Vince doesn't care. The guys that you want to become stars, Vince does not care. If you like the person that Vince likes, it's only because he likes them. He doesn't care if you like them. That's the point. You have guys right now who are coming up from NXT, like Uhaa Nation, Colin Cassidy, Enzo Amore. These guys are going to be nobodies very soon. Vince, they're not Vince's guys, like I said. They will not get to that threshold. They're going to be mid-carders, if that. Enzo Amore, Colin Cassidy, I foresee them being like the next Ascension. I foresee them being the next 3MB. They're just going to be a comedy act. They're going to come out. They're going to get beaten. They're going to get beaten by the Usos. That I can guarantee. The Usos right now are the kings of the tag team wrestling in WWE. And when you see American Alpha come up, if Blake and Murphy ever come up, if the new tag team G something, if they come up, Tommaso Ciampa, you'll see him come up. Maybe he'll be in the tag team. They are, or Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. You're gonna see them come up. They are all gonna lose to the Usos because the Usos are WWE's guys, right? It doesn't matter who these guys are, they are going to lose to WWE's guys. And that is a huge problem for all of professional wrestling. Because when they leave, which they eventually will, the smart guys, like your CM Punks, I would even say Ryback is, although he's an idiot, he looks smart and, well, his character is an idiot, right? He's the corn-fed meathead, right? But this guy is smart enough to be seeing what's happening. And a lot of these guys who are leaving, it's going to be hard for them to be taken as seriously again because of all these memories that WWE has done to them. Like EC3. The problem with EC3 is that everybody knew he was Derek Bateman. He was an NXT reject. And although they pushed him to the moon, people still, part of them, still see him as Derek Bateman. They still chant Derek Bateman at him. You have... I forget, Brodus Clay, right? Brodus Clay. He was this dancing fat guy, this hip-hop dinosaur man, and you see him in TNA, you can't take him seriously because that memory is still in your mind. Look at Alberto Del Rio. Many of us could not take him so seriously in Lucha Underground because we saw how he got ruined. His character got ruined in WWE. He went out on a high note because he slapped that guy around, right? So he had some coolness to him, but now he's right back in WWE. So if he was to leave WWE again, now he's with this horrible faction, right? League of Nations. if he leaves League of Nations, leaves WWE, goes to back to Lucha Underground or AAA, AAA might love him, but the American fans are just going to be like, this is Alberto Del Rio. This is a WWE reject guy. And although on the indies, these guys might be an attraction and they might make more money, if they go to other companies like ROH or TNA, people are not going to be like, oh, cool, look who it is. There might be the initial pop, but then after that, they're going to be like, well, we already saw him in WWE. He's not that great. Why should I take him seriously? WWE doesn't take him seriously. Why should I? And that's the way of thinking for most people. For me, it's similar. Like, look at all the guys who go to TNA. MVP. I wasn't excited about MVP. Who cares? Like, they come up with this big reveal, like Montel Vontavious Porter is coming to NXT. I don't care. I already saw him in WWE. When Kurt Angle went to when Kurt Angle went to TNA, that was a big deal because when he was in WWE, he was a big character, and luckily he left before WWE ruined him. Although you could say in the later years they were ruining him, the way they were making him lose to Cena all the time, but he still had something with him. But like I said, Drew Galloway or Drew McIntyre, who cares? He's a WWE reject. A lot of these guys go to other places and they're losing all their steam, and that's a big problem. Vince McMahon is killing wrestling. He's already tried to take wrestling out of his company. They don't want you saying you're a wrestler. They want you to say you are a sports entertainer, right? They don't want that much wrestling. Like each show, maybe a 3-hour show has a half hour of actual wrestling. Most of the time it's promos or commercials or video packages of what happened last week, shop.com, Camp WWE, who cares? This new show with Mick Foley, Total Divas, is very little actual wrestling. And then when there is wrestling, it's rushed, it's played out, the announcers destroy any kind of enjoyment you could have in the match. It's just totally ruined. He is ruining it, and you could say back in the 80s, he was buying off all these other branches, but at least back then, he took care of his wrestlers. He might have bought a Hogan and plucked a Ric Flair and taken a Mr. Perfect, all the, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. He took all these wrestlers from different companies, but he still made them stars. You could even say he made them superstars. I hate that word. At least he made them into somebody that you would want to see, that you could take seriously. Today, nobody's taken seriously unless you're John Cena or unless you're Roman Reigns. Nobody else. Who takes Ambrose seriously? Who takes The Undertaker seriously anymore? He lost the streak. He can lose any time now. And he's near his later years. Vince McMahon had something good with The Undertaker. He had the streak, and he had to have him lose the streak. I know many people say Lesnar should have beat him, and it was good that he did. That's true, but it didn't have to happen at all. You could have had him just not fight Brock Lesnar, right? You could have had him just fight John Cena and have John Cena lose to him. That would have been something people would have liked to see. Yeah. So I'll go back and change what I said about just Cena and Reigns. Lesnar's taken seriously too, but do you count Lesnar as a WWE wrestler? The guy is a part-timer who only shows up sometimes. He's a special attraction. He's like The Rock. I don't really consider him a WWE wrestler anymore. He is more of, like I said, he's a Rock. He's a special attraction. The wrestlers who are John Cena and Roman Reigns, who are there all the time when you don't want them, these are the wrestlers, and nobody else matters. Nobody else is taken seriously. You might have guys like we'll go back a few years when Rusev was destroying everybody. Nobody was beating the guy. I knew and I saw it coming, and many other reviewers saw it coming, that he was going to lose to John Cena, and he did. And he never beat John Cena clean once. Not once. He never even beat John Cena once. There was one match where John Cena, I think he lost because he passed out, or he passed out and they said he tapped out or something like that. I don't even remember because this is all nonsense. But that was the only time he ever got an edge up on Cena, and Cena always beat him. And then right after that, he starts losing to Cesaro, and he starts losing to all these other guys that he was beating before easily, and now he's losing to them. Because once you're built up and you look good, you lose to Cena or you lose to Reigns, and then you're back in the mid card and you're a nobody. You don't stay a main eventer. The only people who become main eventers, I wouldn't even say they become main eventers. It's like the main event is now the mid card, it seems. Like, who is in the main event now? You could say it's Seth Rollins. You could say maybe it's Dean Ambrose. But are they main eventers or are they mid carders? I think most people see them as mid carders, especially in the case of Dean Ambrose. They shouldn't be, but the only true main eventers are John Cena and Roman Reigns. So, something has to change. Until this change happens, Vince McMahon is going to continuously destroy professional wrestling, and then Stephanie McMahon will continue on where he left off. And I'm a huge wrestling fan. I watch many wrestling companies, and when I see something like Nakamura coming to NXT, Samoa Joe coming to NXT, who are these other guys coming to NXT? Bobby Roode might come to NXT. Austin Aries coming to NXT. When I see this, I don't get excited at all, because I know that they're going to be a star for a little while, and then WWE is going to eat them up and shit them out, and then they're going to be nobodies. There are some lucky guys who make it out. I would say James Storm was lucky that he left NXT undefeated. So I guess you could say one of the few only undefeated people in WWE was James Storm, because he left before he lost. But it was good that he left. I hope Bobby Roode does not come to NXT. When Nakamura came, that was a big, that was like a big loss for me, because it's like, well, now we get to see him eventually losing to Roman Reigns or John Cena, one of my favorite wrestlers, who could easily out wrestle them. Now he's gonna lose to them, or maybe one day he'll lose to the Miz, because he might not even be a main eventer, because Vince McMahon doesn't like Japanese wrestlers. You have to have Samoans play Japanese wrestlers in order to get over or to get any kind of respect from Vince McMahon. That's a reference to Yokozuna. Like look at Yoshitatsu. Look how he's treated. He's like this pop bubblegum Japanese stereotype guy, and thank you, all that stuff he had to do. He was a joke. They didn't take him seriously. He was a joke. So, I'll end it there. Just hope that things change very soon. If this is a new era, really, it's not a new era, but if it is, show us. Stop having your two squeezes, John Cena and Roman Reigns. Stop having them beat everybody. Let them take a clean loss. Not one time on one pay-per-view and then they get 2 victories after that. Let them lose a program. Let them lose a feud. Let them lose clean at Hell in a Cell. Let them tap out. People will still like John Cena if he loses. People will still like Roman Reigns if he loses. And if they don't, they are not real wrestling fans. They are not the fans that you want to do all this stuff and bend over backwards for. They are not fans if they lose respect for their wrestler after losing. DDP, I loved the guy when I was a kid. He lost lots of times. It didn't matter. That makes you vote for him more, because you want him to succeed. You want him to win the next feud. It doesn't work that way where they lose respect once. Alright?